You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bombad Generals. Matt here, and give it a nice salute. Who's that? Who's that? Let's hear your voice.
Misa degree. Seth.
Oh, no. Oh, no. April Fool's episode next year. Full Gungan voice episode. Let's make
I gotta get my practice in.
Yeah, we got time.
We can create an AI Jar Jar bot as well to join us.
I bet that exists.
Oh, I bet
I'm not a fan of a lot of that sort of AI stuff, but maybe I could make an exception for
that's worth
a Jar Jar bot.
Completely worth it.
Yeah, we all have our things that we'll compromise on in life, and that might be mine.
Question, Matt, before we actually get started, when do we think it's acceptable to bring Todd back?
Todd, I think we gave him a 6-month suspension. I'm trying to remember when we officially kicked him off the show. Yeah. 6-month suspension. I think even if we don't bring Todd back, I think we should take a look at maybe other co-hosts.
Okay.
Because Todd, even though he could come back, I don't know. I think he was a flaky guy. Some were valid excuses, some were not. I don't know. Maybe we should look for someone else. I'm not sure.
All right.
Yeah.
I think the fans have maybe requesting him back, but
they are? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. I can reach out to Todd.
Yes.
He's a very busy guy, but I'll see what I can do.
He's also very flaky. So again, you said. Anyways, okay, that was my one little question.
Next episode drops after Christmas, so maybe a little Christmas
special. We'll have a holiday special, Life Day special.
Yeah, no promises though. But definitely after Worlds, coinciding with April 1st, it will be a all Gungan voice episode, of course. And speaking of Worlds, look at that! I got that transition in there.
Look at that.
We got the event schedule for Adepticon. So before we get into the rest of the stuff, we want to kind of talk on that briefly because it is a little different from last year. Was there a 4-round day last year? I'm trying to remember.
It was a 3-down Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. So a few things to highlight there, I guess. The good thing, the nice thing is that 256 people. So it's going to be double the size of last year, which is great to see. It means, that's why they can have so many, they were very generous with the store kits. There's the whole controversy aside with the confusion of how those invites are actually handed out. But, previously it was very hard for stores to get store champ kits. And this year there were lots of them. So there's lots happening. There's opportunities to fill up those spots. So good to see the opportunity for a lot of people to go out and make that trip. The downside is that you have to go undefeated through 9-0 through the whole weekend to win.
I think it's actually 10-0 because there's 1 day.
It's 4-3-2
or 4-3-2. Yeah, that's right. Because they still have to do 2 rounds on Sunday.
Always a 2-rounder.
So yes.
So there is that. Last year we had 0 undefeated players.
Yes.
I believe Luke lost round 1. So instead of winning the World Championship, he would have just first round done. Yeah. And that can really suck. I think it's been a really good development in the last few years that we're having more and more tournaments built with a structure where you can afford 1 loss. And depending on the structure, you can afford it at different times. Usually it's day 1. Sometimes it's, in the first 2 days, if you do 2 days of Swiss. But these big 3-day events, generally, there's been ways where you can fade 1 loss and still get to the final day. And I like that. I think it really sucks when you pay a lot of money, you book out time. Especially if you're a player with aspirations of getting to that final day, you're booking out the time to have those 3 days, and then maybe you get a really bad matchup, or combo, really bad matchup, really good player, bad map, honestly. Things just don't break your way, and like instantly it can all be over with no way to claw back. So I'm not a fan of that. But I mean, is what it is.
I definitely understand with all the players, like,
yeah, you kind of have to. I mean, I wouldn't hate a 4th round on Saturday, but I don't know. I don't know how the numbers would work. It probably.
So I think in the Adepticon website, it actually does say 4 rounds on Saturday as well.
That doesn't make any sense then.
So I know there's been some confusion, and
it's a 32 player, so you'll have 4. Because 3 rounds is enough to get your 4 undefeateds that go to day 2 or go to day 3.
Yes.
16, 8, 4. So by adding the extra, it makes things really weird. I don't know.
Yes.
So then you do get people with X and 1, but only if you were undefeated day 1, and then you could take a loss on day 2. And if you actually are one of the 4 undefeateds after round 3, you might get through on strength of schedule, but you might not, because 2 of those players will lose. That's very awkward. I would rather it was just like 8 rounds of Swiss.
Yeah.
But the times are also funky. I'm not sure how they're doing 4 rounds in 8 to 8, but I guess that's what the other day says too. So.
No, that's just maybe they have to put that for Adepticon purposes. I don't know, but.
I'm not seeing that on day 2. Where does it say 4 rounds?
So
on day 2?
Go back to day 1 on the day 1.
Day 1 says 4 rounds.
I know, but then like it gives you like on Friday, on Saturday.
Oh, for another 4 rounds.
So it gives you the whole breakdown
and then
of the event.
For the final round, after the final round on Saturday, all undefeated players.
Yes.
Okay, that their numbers don't work then.
I think there's been a typo somewhere, what I've seen.
Something's been a typo, so
it'll
maybe
work
we just need to scrap this entire conversation.
I think, but no matter what, it's just, I think there's one day has 4, one day has 3, one day has 2. And then you just have to go undefeated the whole time.
Because let's see, 128, 64, 32. Yeah, the numbers work. With what they've described, it should be 4-3-2.
Yes.
But they've said 4-4-2, which with all undefeateds doesn't make any sense.
I'm going to guess that like Saturday is going to be the 4th round instead of Friday, because that's how it was last year. And normally social events like happen Friday.
They don't have enough tickets. It's only a 32-person event on Saturday, which means you need all 4 rounds on Sunday.
Oh, on Friday.
On Friday, you need all 4 rounds to get down to 32.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Already it's a mess. My goodness. But
no, it's just one of those numbers just was wrong. That's pretty much
one number somewhere is wrong. But I think the big takeaway is sign up for side events on Saturday, Sunday, so you have something to do, whether it's Legion or some other game systems, because you don't want to lose day 1 and just be sitting around forever. That would kind of not be great.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Which I'm sure we'll see less of lists like teching against a specific list, because like last year, we saw like Dark Troopers. There's a lot of tech against Dark Troopers, but with that, you lost like flexibility for like Blizzard Force. So like I'm sure you'll see like a lot more even, like all teching against different specific list.
All you got to do is just not be drawn into Dark Troopers, and it's fine. Yeah. But no, I think not even for tech, I think lists like Dark Troopers themselves, they were a really good example. Like last year, my strategy, I went in 100% knowing, hey, day 1 is when I'm most likely to get like a weird impact skew opponent and just get trounced, because they'll defeat a heavy Dark Trooper spam if they've got like all the HH-12s and whatever. But that's okay, because once I can take a loss on day 1, and once you get to day 2, it's going to be less likely to run into those, because while those destroy Dark Troopers, they kind of get weeded out by the other lists that they match up less good into. You can't really take that strategy when you have to go undefeated, because with 256 players, who knows that first day, what you're going to get paired into when it comes to crazy lists, right? So you can't really afford to have one really bad matchup if it's at all prevalent. If your one really bad matchup is something that like 2 people might bring, sure. But if it's something that you would kind of expect to maybe see once in the event in the first day, you can't risk it if that's a weak matchup for you.
Yeah.
So
start grinding, and that's the thing.
Start grinding. It's never too early. I think we're not really going to get much for shakeups between now and Worlds, so it's going to be here faster than we think. Honestly, like 3 months, and we're almost there.
Yeah. Oh, moi.
This is not good. Yeah. I'll
start grinding.
That's what the holidays are for. Time to grind. And when you're grinding, you know what you should be thinking about, Seth?
Your battle deck.
Yeah, we're on the ball today with the transitions. We've covered 2 episodes so far?
Yeah, so far.
It's going to have to be 8 episodes because we're doing 1 from each category. So there's a ways to go.
We'll get to
if there's an outcry for, hey, do some other stuff to break it up, let us know for sure.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm always open.
No, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Today we've got a lineup that you might see in the same deck, but we're not talking about them together. But we've got Intercept the Transmissions for our objective. We've got Danger Close for the deployment, and we've got War Weary for the condition. So I think we were gonna get the worst, the one with the least to say. We'll just get that out of the way early. War Weary. When do you take it? When do you not take it? When are you okay playing it? All of that stuff.
So if you're clones, you take it. If you're rebels, you don't. That's what I've always thought.
Why? What's the logic?
And no, I think that's a very that's a very overgeneralization of that. But so War Weary is for those who don't know what the condition is, it's just your panic for your range band panic bubble from your commander is, instead of range 3, it is now range 1. So
if you take that very specific Inspiring Presence upgrade, you can get range 2.
But no one does.
No, it's not worth it. Don't take a 5-point upgrade for one condition.
No. Take improvised orders.
Yes.
Anyways.
There used to be, the way it was worded, it didn't work on operatives who had the Inspiring Presence upgrade, or field commanders. They've changed it, so it now works on all of those. So you don't get to, if you don't get around it by having a field commander.
Correct.
Anymore.
Correct. So normally, like, my whole thought process is if my army is hanging out together, or if I'm not going to spread out a lot, I'm going to take it. Like, then it's not really going to affect me a lot. Normally, also, if I have 2 commanders, I'll also take it, because one, you'll have more with your army, and the other, like maybe a force user, you like have more to like go more objective or doing a dive. That's how I would take it. Or like if I'm, like a Courage 2 army, I'd take it. Like, because again, it has to do with like suppression and everything, and it's not as it won't affect me as much. Now, if my army is like super spread out, I'm probably not going to take it. So that's just my whole thought process. I don't really think about much of it. So,
do you take it with Yoda Chewie?
I think so. Yeah, I think I do.
That would be a list where I feel like I wouldn't take it, because for me, it's kind of, other than my whole army's Courage 2, or everyone who's important is Courage 2. If I'm running like a Pike spam or Black Sun spam, old school like Phase 2s, where it's like, hey, everything's Courage 2 anyways, and I don't really need the bubble. I don't need it, or I will take it. Because it doesn't affect me. The other one is, as long as I have like a commander who's kind of going to hang back. So like your generic commanders, your support commanders, even like an Iden or Cassian could kind of be that, because they can kind of stay with the army, but they might become operatives and whatever.
So I'm sorry,
but you don't
I
really
do not
take
it.
Because Yoda Chewie, the risk there is they're going to die.
It is,
deep, and you're going to lose out on.
I got confused by my like Yoda clone commander list.
Yoda Clone Commander, because you've got that Clone Commander, he can stay there.
Yeah.
And, you still lose, like, having that panic and it takes 8 suppression to panic me bubble is nice.
That's nice.
For Yoda. It's not bad.
Not bad.
But you've got to put 4 conditions in your deck, and dropping down to that Clone Commander is just fine.
Yeah.
If I was running, Yoda Clone Commander, I'll take War Weary. If I'm running Yoda solo, probably not, just because I do want to have that option to dive with Yoda.
Yeah.
And kind of abandon the army a little bit. Get beyond range 1 of the Clone Ball.
Mm-hmm.
So just, think about where your commanders are. If they're going to be near the army the whole game, no reason not to take this. It's kind of becomes clear conditions, and maybe you really mess up your opponent. It's also one that's easy to forget about because it kind of doesn't matter for so much of the game. You got to watch out to be not caught out, where it's like end of the game, you pop some suppression on a dude that you think is backcapping your objective, and then it's like, oh no, that unit doesn't score. They're suppressed. They're outside range 1. You double moved your commander to the middle point, and now they're on the back point with courage 1 with 3 suppression down to 2 after the end phase. You don't want that. That would be bad.
So it could potentially like hurt you, but if you play it right, like you'll be fine.
Exactly. Just keep in mind. It can create not gotcha moments because it's open information, but feels bad moments of, oh yeah, I forgot that we were playing that objective.
Yes. Or that condition. Yeah.
That condition, yeah.
That's all I have to say about Warrior.
Yeah, that's it.
Super simple.
It's probably one of the most played objectives.
Conditions?
Or conditions.
Yeah.
Like most taken, because it's kind of, there's so many armies out there these days that don't really care about it.
Yeah. Like gun lines and stuff. So
gun lines, even some vehicle lists.
It's true, yeah.
Don't really care about generic commanders are just good. Like just
it's solid.
Pretty much every faction's generic is just very solid and is going to be hanging out near your army, near your low courage units anyways. So
yeah.
Danger Close, I think, is actually an intriguing one, and I think you were big in putting me on to the joys of Danger Close.
I love Danger Close.
I'll bring it up here as well, just so we can look at, because I think it's important to look at Danger Close, especially because it's such a funky one.
So specifically, let me just be specific and clarify. I love Danger Close as blue player.
Yes, which is why you're putting it in your deck, because if you're using your own deck, you're blue player.
Yes. So first things first, let's just go back to how Table Edge is decided, because blue player picks up they use their deck, and then red player takes table side. With Danger Close, you flip the table side.
Yeah. So you are blue here at the bottom. Can you see my cursor? Sometimes on these share screens you can't see. Yeah, so you are blue at the bottom here, which means red has said, oh, this side of the table on the top of the card is really good. I like this side of the table. And now as blue player, you basically say, okay, that's my side of the table now, because this is where I want to deploy, generally closer to the middle.
Yep.
And it's often, I've had games where, I deploy my whole army in this little panhandle. My opponent deploys their whole army in this little panhandle, and then we pick up all of our stuff and we just walk around the table.
I remember doing that at Worlds with Kyle Dornbus.
Yeah, I did that LVO this year, I guess. And feels good when you're like, I got my own battle deck and I basically got the good side of the table.
Yeah. So I love it for that fact. There's other facts, like I think it's a great objective for secret mission, because you have that range 3 you just run, and normally it's unobstructed to get that secret mission, and you can do some I think it's I love it and hate it, because I hate it for VAPs, because everyone just deploys on this end sides, and you're playing long table or short side through short side, and you have to be really aggressive on that on blue player, but for me it's after that it's pretty neutral. You don't normally I don't normally try to play breakthrough on this, because unless I have secret mission.
it's so easy to toilet bowl because you just whoop up the top, whoop off the bottom, and that's it.
No, I remember.
It's just very weird in that there's places that are so close together and then places that are so far. So as you say, like you can just put your VAPs down in here and it's very hard to assault.
Now, you brought it with your Dark Trooper list.
Yes.
You love this object.
Yeah, because I want to start close. Well, because it flips table side is one of the big things. And because there are these three, these range 3 spots. So what I would often do with Dark Troopers is, put someone, one of my whatever activations, maybe in the back, maybe, on one of the corners. But you're trying to hold back your army until that's the thing. Dark Troopers, you don't have a lot of deployments, but you only really have 2 that super matter. 3, 4, because you've got Boba, you want to keep the officer close for retinue. But pretty quickly, you can kind of figure out where your opponent's going with their army. So if they put it here, you deploy right across. If they put it here, you deploy it right across. Mm-hmm. And you just go to town because speed 1 move, range 3 shot, often turn 1 ruling with respect, 10 black dice with an aim, boom. 10 black dice with an aim, boom. You're just, as soon as they say go, you start shooting. Which means your opponents will probably not want that to happen and they'll go further back, which means you can aggressively move up and take the middle of the board faster, which is what you want to do. Yeah. Because then you want to already be in the center of the board so that if your opponent gets there to fight on the objectives, they have to go through you and you can just sit there aim shooting, recover shooting with Dark Troopers from just blast, blast, blast while they have to move up.
Yeah. I also find it a great deployment for bikes because there's a lot of flexibility in flanking. Like it pretty much just gives you some extra moves in order to flank faster. Not necessarily that you want to flank faster because you want to flank about the same time your whole army also attacks. But it gives a lot of flexibility for bikes as well.
I think you can, with bikes, especially with the speed, you can kind of catch people out if they're spreading their army around. Yeah. Then you can kind of say, hey, you left a couple units over here. I'm just going to go onto that side with the bikes, nuke them, and then envelop the rest of your army. So you still want to keep your army close together generally, especially against bikes, so that doesn't happen, which means they're in one spot and you can, if they're at the bottom of the board, you can have your bikes at the top, your army at the bottom, and get that good flank. That's it. So yeah, if you're playing Dark Troopers into bikes, don't do, when you're putting down just random stuff, put it way far in the back. Don't split up your army. That would not
so when do you not want to see danger close? Like what list archetypes you're like, this ain't it?
Range control lists I don't like. So again, when we're talking about gun lines, they're all about range control, leveraging range advantage. Because the opportunity arises to start so close together, I do not want to give aggro players that option. And also the other thing is, if your list isn't especially mobile, it likes to stick together, maybe it's on the slower side, I don't want to risk secret mission against me. I don't want to come up, especially these days with like Padme being so popular. If I have like a gun line, it's hard for me to send someone out and deal with Padme if she's just going across the other side of the board. She could go get secret mission and then move back towards the middle of the board and share tokens with how close this thing starts.
Yeah. And that's by round 3, she's probably back in the middle.
Exactly, because she can double move. If she double moves each turn, end of turn 2, she'll move into the objective and free action for secret mission, and then she could move towards the middle, quick thinking, start of turn 3, which might be when shots start flying. Who knows?
It's true.
Again,
not with danger close. It probably starts range 2.
It depends. Depends how people started.
True. Yeah.
Because it could be, if you both deploy in those little panhandles, it's kind of basically major offensive for deployment, or advanced positions, but without the advancing. So it's a weird one in that it gives people options to start far or start close. So if I'm someone who really wants to start far, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all because I don't want to give my opponent that option. I think I don't remember the geometry on hemmed in. I think hemmed in might start a little bit closer.
I think it does. If you're deploying at the corners.
Yeah, but it's hemmed in and danger close are two of the closest maps you can start on because disarray, battle lines, kind of everything else, you're starting more like range 4 apart at a minimum versus range 3 in danger close. And it's in the name. Danger is close. So
danger is close. Yeah. Groovy. I love this deployment for my play style, at least.
For sure. Because you're playing you want to be blue player.
I want to be blue player.
You love it when they say, hey, take blue player, and then
I get danger.
You're on a very mobile list. And you kind of want to get close anyways because of Yoda choose, so makes a lot of sense. I don't have danger close very much for my play style, which is good. Kind of like half these cards that we go through, it's going to be Matt approved, and then half are going to be Seth approved.
Well, I think they're all approved. It just depends.
They're all approved, but like it's approved as in these are the ones that I barely ever take out of my bag, like the bag that I take to the tournament. It's like I have my battle deck, and then every so often it's like, okay, I take one out. Yeah, put a different one in depending on the list, but it's like mostly the same card.
Because you and I still have like even though we change lists, we have like a list, a play style that we enjoy playing. So
yeah, different list, same battle deck.
Yeah,
for very similar battle.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Bam. All right, but that's all I have to say about Danger Close.
That's good for Danger Close.
That's great. It's great.
It's a spicy one. I like it.
Spicy.
When I'm playing a list where I like it, I should say.
You like it with Dark Troopers, so.
But yes, as I said, seeing the Worlds format has made me not want to explore Dark Troopers anymore, which is probably best for everyone.
It is.
Dark Troopers will make everyone feel bad. They'll make your opponents feel bad as they have no answers, or they'll make you feel very bad when someone does have all the answers.
Yeah, you'll bring Dark Troopers and then hit up triple ATST Tempest Force.
Like exactly, like round 2, and then it's like, sweet, all right, unconventional warfare, here I come. You can run 3 Dark Troopers in unconventional warfare, though.
I remember our doubles where we ran. How many did we run? 4 Dark Troopers?
Oh, right. I thought, okay, yeah, I've done degenerate stuff in doubles. Yeah, we ran
3 Dark Troopers.
3 Dark Troopers, but with Palpatine and
Moff Gideon.
Boba? Oh, no, and Gideon.
Boba wasn't in there.
We had Gideon. It was a fun time. Not as good as...
it was not fun playing it. I felt
not as good as Anakin, Padme, Yoda, Saber Tank back when you could share standbys that I did with Preston.
Golly.
Sorry, I can't hear you, but also my wife's calling, so go to break here. 1 second.
Welcome back to the Bombad Generals. We're going to continue on with our last card of the battle deck in this last portion of the segment, and that is Intercept the Transmissions. Matt, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes.
I hate Intercept the Transmissions.
What?
I absolutely hate it.
Why? Why do you hate it?
I don't know. I just don't like the way it plays. That's just me personally. I mean, I can play it. I'll play it well. But I just hate it. Like I just think there's more fun objectives out there. It's just not a fun objective to me.
Okay. I think it's probably like upper half as far as most interesting objectives. It can play out rather boring, but like every objective can be really boring, honestly. Yeah. There's no objective I don't think that is like forced to be interesting. So that's a surprising take. I think Intercept is like a better version of key positions in a sense.
I like it more than key positions.
Yeah. Key positions
to an extent.
But yeah. As far as an excitement. But okay, interesting. So do I come in with the counterpoint here, or you go to elaborate?
No, go for it. No,
it's just an irrational hatred of it.
You can go.
Okay,
maybe it is irrational. I don't know.
Or rational. Yeah. I don't want to write it off as irrational. Okay, I maybe I like it because I play gunlines and it's like a very gunliney objective. I think it's a very interesting dynamic that it often devolves into. You know, there's a tendency to look at it and be like, oh, this is a great objective, or a very high scoring objective. It's not going to end in ties very often, which is completely false. It actually ends in ties a lot. So things like Secret Mission, Bounty are very good on it. And that's generally because the way this game plays out with Intercept is that you, one player kind of takes the middle early and scores on round 2 and round 4. And then the other player, but by doing that, they put their army more in harm's way. So they start losing on attrition, but they gain on points, victory points scored. So then turn 6, the other player is able to take the middle, and basically it comes down to, were you able to hold on to the middle from the player who won turns 2 and 4? Were you able to not take enough losses and inflict enough damage that you win on kill points? Versus the other player, are you able to do enough kill points early on that then you can bum rush the middle and win? And I think that's just an interesting kind of like, I'm trying to think of what the term would be, but it's an interesting like proposition.
It's like a tug of war type thing.
It's like a tug of war, but you're also you're assessing. It's a give and take, right? You're making choices that are going to have consequences. Where it's like, okay, I am going to go and score points, knowing that doing so puts me in more jeopardy. Which I think is interesting when choices have consequences and kind of lead to game states like that. But
yeah, because I've seen even people like score round 2 or round 4 and like not worry about round 2 or 4 and then bum rush the middle at the end. So it's like, oh, they have the upper hand advantage, and it's like, okay, as long as I tie the middle, I win. Something like that.
Mm-hmm. So it's and that's the thing. I kind of outlined like what a typical game can look like. Yeah, but there's certainly weirder games where or you sneak out a tie on round 2 or something like that, or you go after the back objective. A lot of the discussion that we had around key positions, as far as like having units between the 2 key positions. You kind of want to do that in Intercept too, because you don't want to get your back objective popped late. That'll mess everything up. So there's that whole dynamic. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. Maybe I like it more because I don't play a lot of vehicles, and vehicles can't score.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that like Intercept, you can't really, like bikes can't pop your back objective, which is the number one, like in KP, that's the number one like threat against your back objective because they can't score on it. It's just a trooper unit. They can try to kill a unit, but that's a lot harder than just putting a unit in scoring range.
I think Intercept, where any units can score, would be a very interesting, spicy objective.
I would like that a lot more.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. We're getting to the root of it. So we don't like the only trooper aspect because it is harder to threaten that back objective. Usually you're looking at like a force user or maybe like a Sabine, Boba, like speed 3 kind of move there. Yeah. Right. Because often too,
or even
they're not even looking to win it. If you just have one guy back there, they just double move on, tie it, and then maybe depends who's in control and whatnot, right? Sure. But if you won the first 2 and 4, then if you win one objective and your opponent wins one objective on round 6, then it doesn't matter. So from your perspective, that's great. From the other players, maybe they're trying to tie the middle. They don't quite have but if you could tie the middle and tie the other one versus you could just win the middle with that extra body. So depends.
Yeah.
Back capping is probably a little less common in Intercept because of the no vehicles.
Yeah. And that's probably, maybe that's the root of like why I don't like it, is because like I like to play bikes, and it's just like with how much cover changes and how much dice my bikes actually throw, it's like are kind of not as strong for Intercept. So that's like 3 of my activations just like, oh, like dang, you know, they can't contribute or anything. So
how much more interesting would everything be if vehicles could score on Intercept, but you had to use troopers to take bombs on bombing run? Would that be I feel like both of those make things way more.
I want to make that trade. I would not make that trade.
No, you would make it. Yeah, that's fair. Just because you lose more advantage than you gain, for sure.
Which we'll get to bombing run, but I think
we'll get to bombing run
a lot different than most people. Anyways, so Intercept.
I can't wait for bombing run talk. I think
it's going to be great.
Intercept
list you don't want to see take it. Like if you're bringing vehicles, you don't want to take it. If you're bringing
some vehicle lists can take it. Depends, right? Like
true.
If you're like a saber tank, an old school, this doesn't really apply anymore, but like an old school saber tank list where you're abusing standbys, you're like, yeah, come at me, bro. I've got this tank here, and I've still got lots of troopers. If you are like heavy vehicle skew with like double ATSD, like quad bite, or like Blizzard with so many vehicles and just like commander and 3 naked core, no, definitely do not take it. You do not want to do Intercept.
Yeah, high activations are great because it's just a body, like activation number. So those are awesome. Even bounties, like any bounty lists, are great because I think you put this a lot when you were playing your Dark Troopers, but it's one of those objectives where like you know where your opponent is going to be. So like having a bounty hunter like as a threat there, and then like turn 5 or 6 grabbing your bounty, because like you know that like the force user or the commander has to like come up and score because they have to use the bodies. I think that's helpful. Aggro skew list like Black Sun Enforcers, I think Wookiees kind of like it.
They certainly like it more than key positions, because key positions you don't get anything for taking the middle early because you don't score until late.
It's true.
Aggro lists, if you bomb up the field, then you at least get something for it. But I still think a gun line is okay in that matchup because you just go pew pew pew, and then I'll take the middle.
And that's the thing, is that like those big aggro skew lists like Wookiees, like normally they're lower axe. Like a lot of the Wookiee lists I've been seeing is like 8 to axe, and that's normally not as strong as on Intercept, but every unit can score, so that's super helpful.
Yes.
And I think that's a big, like, so if you start taking activations out and you're not losing activations, then like you can even out the activations. And
and I think those 8-act lists especially, right? It's not like you have a 10-act list with triple snipers, which is not as popular these days. A 10-act list with triple snipers has 10 acts, but you don't want those 2-man strike teams really going into the middle.
It's true.
Echo can, because he's red saves and in an army with...
I would at the end of the game, I'd still keep it back, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like one of those units is fine to hold your back spot, but you don't generally need... If you've got 3 of them, you've only got like 7 scoring units anyways.
Yeah.
Versus if you've, I mean, a list that's really good at it, which is just a good list, is the Yoda Arcs list. Because of all the scout and whatnot, it's a list that's very good at taking the middle early. There's almost nothing you can do unless it's a mirror. It's very hard to do anything about them taking it and scoring it 2 and 4. But it's also a list that's built to not take attrition.
Yeah. And they're strong at range too as well. Like they're a lot stronger.
And they're strong on and they can just kind of take the middle, be aggressive, and just sit there. If you don't come at them, great. If you do come at them, great.
Because they also have the defense tech to
to withstand it. You know, if you take a 14-act Ewok and you just swarm, you know, you still have to get to the enemy lines, because if you just sit your entire army up at the middle of the board on 2 and 4, they're going to get blown to pieces. So you either need to like hit their lines, or you need to hide and go for the turn 6 strategy, more likely with bodies. But then that's the thing. If you're doing that, you still have to win on kill points, which is possible.
Yeah. And it's it's pretty hard to survive 6 rounds. Like,
it is hard. It's very hard.
It's pretty hard
to hide for that long. Unless you've got like 2 AATs line of sight blocking a bajillion droids, then it's a bit easier. I think the other kind of elephant in the room, maybe that's overstating it to discuss, is we've been talking about turn 6 as when the game ends, but it doesn't always.
It's true.
So if you get clocked, things can get very weird. It's one of those objectives that if it ends prematurely, things can get very funky. So that's something to consider too. You don't want to, obviously you always want to get to round 6, do whatever you can. Like I'm a big proponent of, playing fast, and if we could have chess clocks in every game, so
it's
that
not even fast, just like a decent speed.
Play at a decent speed, yeah.
Don't play slow.
As a courtesy to your opponent too, right? Like, and it's on both players. But yeah, if you turn 5 can be bad just because you're like, oh, I was planning out my actions to be there turn 6, and now it's turn 5, and oh dear. But what's really crazy is if it's a very slow game and it ends turn 4, that's 3 points. 3 points on the middle, because you get 2 points when the game ends, and it's round 4, so you also get 1 point, so you get 3 points per objective. So basically, if the game ends at turn 4, the only thing that matters is the number of bodies on turn 4.
Yeah, it's just who has the middle, and they're So
force users are very good on it, almost more so than key positions. The good thing about key positions is that if you can force push someone, you can force push them almost certainly off of the key position. It's rare that you'd have a key position so large and shapely such that they can't be force pushed off.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a building and someone's on top of it. Whereas on Intercept, if they're right near the objective token, a speed 1 move might not be far enough to actually get them outside range 1. But the flip side is that only troopers can contest, and all troopers outside weird circumstances where they're immobile can be force pushed. So you're not, if you're on key positions, you can't force push this tank off, but you can force push.
Well, not only that, but I think especially if your opponent, if you have a force user and your opponent is scoring early, that's a unit that I like to call them like safe units that you can dive into, and then like you're engaged in melee, and then now like you're in your enemy's lines in melee, and then you can just start doing your force user things if your opponent doesn't have a force user. So I think that's helpful because like key positions, you can like stick a tank and you're like, that's not a safe unit, I can't engage in them and be safe. So yeah,
right,
yeah,
makes sense.
And it does. I think it does.
Yeah. I guess the other consideration with Intercept is it's one of the few objectives where you don't have any agency as far as where you put the objectives. So just be aware, if you're going to play Intercept, you know exactly where they're going to be, which could be a good thing and could be a bad thing, depending on how the table lays out. So definitely measure it out and take a look. One of the important things, especially look at that middle bit and see where range 1 extends to. Yeah. Because the game can be completely different if there's like a little nook, like there's a terrain piece that kind of gives a nook. That's a very safe hiding spot at range 1 versus if it's just outside of range 1.
Because unlike Breakthrough, your whole base does not have to be within range 1 of that. It just has to be one part of your base, even if it's a millimeter. You're scoring.
Yeah. To take an extreme example, let's say there's like a wall. If that wall is just outside range 1 of the intercept point, you have to come around the wall to score, which might mean you're in the open too. Maybe that's the only terrain piece there. Versus if it's inside range 1, there might be a spot to put 2, 3, 4, who knows, unit.
Because you don't need line of sight to the
exactly that can't be shot at. So the terrain can be huge for that.
It can. Now, like, what deployments would you take? Like, Or what deployments would you want to see and not want to see? For me, like, I wouldn't want to see battle lines for this.
I'm fine with battle lines. Actually, this is one of the ones. Well, it depends what you're running too, right? If you're running like a gun line, I probably don't want to play battle lines. But if it's battle lines intercept, I'm fine with that because you kind of end up with a longer attack that way because you don't want to go for both side intercept points. You want to take a side in the middle. If you split up your army, you're going to get toasted. So that usually leads to one player picking one side and the other player picks the other side, and you kind of start a little farther away from each other, which I like as a gunline player. So depends what you're going for.
Well, I'm not going to do that. If I play you, man, I'm not going to do that. If you pick one side, I'm picking that side too.
Okay, good.
We'll make it. We'll play a 3x3 or something. I don't know. So,
there's not a lot where you don't want to play it. Honestly,
that's fair. Fair.
I'd say if you're against it, you probably don't want to see it on. Again, it kind of depends on the lists and what they're designed to do. But like hemmed in, you look at it and you're like, oh, maybe I can like split up my army and go for the two side ones because if I'm red player, because blue player starts in the middle. But then they'll just turn their whole army and destroy half of your army, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think hemmed in is pretty bad because you kind of have to start to one side, and then the blue player gets such a big advantage because they're basically scoring from deployment on the middle.
Yeah.
They just start so close.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if you're a blue player, you really want that. I think disarray is kind of just the crazy deployment.
Yeah,
I think a disarray intercept game gets very interesting very quickly.
It does.
But under certain circumstances, I think there's better objectives to play with disarray.
Yeah,
if you want a crazy time.
But, disarray Vaps.
Yes, Disarray Vaps is the best Vaps game you'll ever play. It's so exciting. It's so great. I love it.
Oh, man. I can't wait for that discussion. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, no, we can't pair those together, though, because I'm going to go on a 20-minute rant about Vaps. And Disarray, there's a lot to talk about.
Have we talked about
got to pair Vaps with vanilla stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be part of the Christmas present episode. Matt's rant on Vaps while Todd sits and nods.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Oh, moi. Miss beloved the Vaps.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Before we go too off the rails, anything else for Intercept to discuss? I think those are the main
No,
ones.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So maybe one day they'll switch up the objective cards and they'll change Intercept to everyone's.
I thought you were doing your Jar Jar voice right there.
Oh no! That was just me getting excited. Yeah.
Oh man! Well,
it's sometimes I don't know if this happens to you, but sometimes I start saying things ironically, like dumb expressions, but then I just start saying them normally because I'm so used to saying them ironically, trying to be dumb.
That's fair.
I don't want that to happen with the Gungan voice. I don't want to just do it so often as a joke that I just start doing it.
Doing it. You just, oh man, that'd be funny.
Tragic. Funny for you, tragic for me.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I think that's all we got for today's episode.
Mm-hmm. So whatever you're doing, use the Gungan voice wisely, but still remember to stay Gungan.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, aim losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.